Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. But sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. Welcome to TNC, the new channel, here to help you see the new you. This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo, your host to this wonderful program, the HR Hotline. Welcome back to the HR Hotline. Pardon if my voice is a little bit throaty. I had a one-week webinar last week to a big GOCC that I lost my voice. Anyway, it is bedroom voice. But I'm using this Canalosan to relieve the not, it's not sore, but it's the paos. Okay, I just came from another Zoom live Zoom streaming with Go Negosyo. Then I dropped because I have this HR Hotline episode. We're talking about how to thrive as trainers and speakers now that we are in a pandemic. And I was talking about the new normal. For today, here at HR Hotline, we're going to talk on a topic that all of us must know. Last time, we were with Josette Celiona of Cagayan de Oro, and our topic was customer service. And I mentioned that it will be a recurring topic because, of course, you cannot really discuss such a broad topic in an hour. Similarly, with the topic today, our topic is on attitude. And I mentioned attitude is key. Attitude actually spells your success, your relations, your happiness. I have some questions. Why is it that there are a lot of job seekers, including you and me, but only few are actually listed in the short list, and only one is taken? And if you ask HR now, there are a lot of people out of job. Why is it that you're having a hard time looking for people? And they tell us of the competency of knowledge, skills, and attitude, the most difficult to discern, and which is actually the focal point for selection, is attitude. Why is it that you have been there in the office and you're not even considered as a potential employee for movements, for promotions? And they always mention that, I'll say it in the dialect, may kulang eh. Ah, bad ang attitude. What is really good attitude? What is really bad attitude? It is a competency. You have to be competent. Can it be learned? Or is it inherent on the individual? Attitude is very important because attitude is a predisposition. It's actually your mindset of how you're going to react. So it's a predisposition of your behavior. How are you going to, how are you eating now? Be it a salad or be it soup, or is it sweet or sour? Depends on your attitude, and that is manifested in your behavior of eating, of enjoying what you are munching now. There should be a, a predisposition, an attitude on everything that we do. Do you still love your wife? Do you still love your husband? Because attitude sometimes is also what you call this, has a time frame. It is dynamic. It is dynamic. Has it changed? Is the same? Is the feeling the same when you were courting her, or are you being courted? What is your attitude to the work that you're doing earlier, or to the work that you're going later? So you have to really understand what is your take on your attitude, how you're going to improve it, and how you're going to fix it. So at this time, let me introduce our special guest. He was here in the inaugural episode, but I promised him that he will have to be a guest again. Um, he is actually supposed to discuss with me spirituality, but I think it is more urgent if we discuss attitude. I know he was a former seminarian, Vincentian, and he's very, what do you call this, engaged with his parish. With his parish. A loving father. He's my Facebook friend, and he is my mentor. He's younger than myself. I don't know who looks older, but he tells me things, and I accept it. Just like Lloyd Luna, the the relationship is ambivalent. Just like with family, I am, I am, what do you call this? Blessed to have friends whom I share my thoughts and whom also I can get insights and mentors me. Our guest is my mentor and a very close friend. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the 2015 People Management Association of the Philippines President Roberto Obet Policarpio. Hello!
Hello! Magandang
Hello!
tanghali.
We cannot do your original posing. What do you call that?
My signature pose.
The signature
I
pose
can do
wherein
it.
you have to. I think this
Uh,
time it will just be that because we are now we are just on a virtual or collaborative tool. Where are you now, Obet?
right now, I'm at home. So magandang
Okay.
tanghali sa iyo, PP Jesse, Lloyd Luna, and to all viewers of the ever-famous HR Hotline with Jesse by TNC.
Okay. Okay. Um, how are you now um, reacting at this time with the lockdown, the quarantine?
Well, of course, I have to keep up myself abreast on what's happening around. Like what you said, it's important to adopt a positive mindset. No, that's very important because I believe having a positive mindset will set the tone of everything, starting from within, as you project that love, care, and most of all, malasakit to your family, to your loved ones, and to anyone.
So what you're telling us is actually how you react to the pandemic is actually dependent on your attitude, on your how you look at things.
Yes. In fact, if
Okay.
you will see at my background, there are three clowns.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I see, I hear, I talk no evil. So that's it, no? So this is one of my private collections that until now I still hold on because this always reminds me. So whatever's happening around, regardless how tedious it is, how negative things are, I just keep my eyes shut physically, but not shutting myself from the realities.
I
At the
love that.
same time, I'm very selective in hearing. I don't want negative people. I want mega minds people who are have positive outlook in life. And as much as possible, I try not to be tempted by chismoso and chismosa. I call them the moso mero people. Moso means chismoso na and mero paki-alamero pa.
Okay. So personally, because I just in the recent postings in your Facebook, you had a description on what is attitude. Personally, how do you define attitude?
For me, attitude is a personal belief system. So you cannot really get out of it. Why? Because whatever you think about, that will become a trigger point of what you want to achieve and who you want to be. So it's important that between being pessimistic and optimistic, I'd rather choose being optimistic. Of course, I am just human, that there are certain times that I would react. And that is just a sign of being human. So yung sabi nga, huwag kang magtatagal dyan. Huwag kang mag-i-standby. Move on
Let,
ka.
let, let, let me cut you, PP Obet. I will call you PP Obet this time.
Sure.
In recruitment or in acquisition, what do you call this? Interviews, in selection interviews, we always have that form where it says attitude. So, how will you describe that particular requirement? What should HR really look into when we say there is that portion of attitude, and sometimes it's around 20, 25, 30%? What is that they should look at or look for?
For me, based on my experience, attitude, I look at it from this perspective. First and foremost, I size up the applicant on the way he projects himself or herself, not in a verbal manner, but how the way he carries himself, how he walks or she enters the room. Second, I give situationer to measure how agile the person is. So I really
Mhm.
cite factual situations and experience in order to see if this person is agile.
Mhm.
Second, I also sense the tenacity of the person. So for
Mhm.
me, when I say tenacity, it means he never gives up and never stops in doing what he wants to achieve.
Mhm.
He is someone who does whatever is required to accomplish the goal. And you will see during the interview that there are many applicants who really applied in several companies and yet they were not considered. And this person is so eager to look for a job. And I also size up the integrity of the person, how truthful she or he in the way he responds. Particularly, I sense his nonverbal gesture. Now, there
So
are
that
also
just
certain questions that I give in order to draw out. It means unleashing his potentials, his competencies. Because in doing so, I'm able not only to measure and assess his knowledge and skill, but the talent beyond what he or she has. And important is the determination. And lastly, is engaged during the interview. So attitude means agile, trust, tenacity, integrity, unleash, talented, determination, and engage.
wow,
That is
that is an acronym. That is an acronym. Can you repeat that for all the viewers to take
yes,
note? That is an acronym.
yes. A for agility. So we're able to make quick, speedily decision without sacrificing quality. It's so important that we trust. We trust ourselves because we have a faith in God. No? And then next is tenacity. Never give up. Move on. Don't try it, but do it. For me, trying connotes no commitment. And then integrity. How truthful you are in the way you respond to the question. And you have to unleash, draw out that power, that talent given to you by God and be determined no matter what the cost. Go against all odds. And
Okay.
lastly, be engaged. Focus on the here and now. That is attitude.
Okay. I have a follow-up question, but before I ask that, let me read some comments and posts of our viewers. We have Ryan from Davao. Hello. Help Pipi Jesse and guess mo pala today I see Sir Obet and then of course Jennifer Nuya. Good evening depending where you are. And then interesting topic sabi Alona Garsuta. Yes. And then we have also Serily, our dear Serily.
Hi
Okay.
friends, good afternoon sa inyo lahat.
By the way, Jennifer, and Serily, let me announce it now. We are going to have a POP summit on October 15 and 16. You are moderators. Di ba? Ang galing ng invitation live, no? Live ang
Oo.
invitation. And then I will also inform you, PP of it. I will surprise you later on as regards that summit. Anyway, my question is before we're going to have our first break is so that means with your acronym on attitude, it really covers the totality of the person.
Exactly.
So, what are the components actually? If you put it, what are really the components of attitude? So that for those the viewers, for those who are going to use it to really assess people, and if for you also later on, I will ask you if you would like to fix your attitude. What are these? What are the components of attitude?
Well, for me, it simply means in one word, and that is heart.
Heart.
That's it.
Yeah, heart.
Because heart for me is the core of everything we have in our life. Because
That is yes.
without heart, there's no life, and without
That's
heart, there's no love.
that is let's say speaking from the heart or heart to heart talk.
Yes,
Is what you mean? That means that there is what you call your feelings, your behaviors, and then your knowledge.
yes,
Because going back, if you're that is the component is actually the heart because the although it is at the center of your of your body, but you were told that actually feeling or love is the thalamus, it's in your brain, so it's the knowledge. It's the
yes,
knowledge if you're going to like or unlike the person, then your what you call your behavior, your feelings and your behavior. I love that. I love that. I love your insight on that. Okay, can we have first? Well, I have a lot of questions that we can talk about, but let's have first break, our commercial break. Marvin, can we have the first commercial break? I'm so excited because I am conversing with my mentor and best friend, PP Obet. But I still have to. Can we have the slide? Because I have to mention the other shows of TNC. That means you have to tune in with us. The Big Picture shares inspiring stories of notable personalities Mondays to Fridays. We have an insightful Saturday afternoon because of family business is everyone's business. Usapang Beauty is about beauty beyond what your eyes can see. Discover your life purpose and learn from others. Turn around stories, but turning into you turn. Hosted by my friend and PAPS member, Carmine. The home buyer is where you hear remarkable stories about building and owning a property. Laugh and learn through the puppet stories. It's a wonderful story. Sometimes I watch it and it's really funny. Mabenta bumili at tumulong dahil bukas na ang TNC Marketplace, an online night bazaar. Really. At sometimes it really reaches up to midnight. Your law is for all of us to understand the law is fun and cool too. Two leaders in one platform, TNC That Talk, and After Shift is the chillaxing show about your choices and lives after work. Discover and learn the strategies on self leadership to win in life through Win Within and dream, achieve, nurture, and inspire, tagging your kids along and watch Danny Art Show. The world has faced an unprecedented pandemic. Time to hear positive testimonies straight from those who recovered from disease with the COVID stories and global issues coming into us learn together across borders at foreign affairs and watch and learn money and more that streams live from the Philippines and the US. And because health is wealth, Healthline on Wednesdays, and catch the TNC original shows such as One Day and the TNC Town Hall with Lloyd and Apple. And don't forget to be my lunch date every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So let's have back my past president of PMAP, Obet Policarpio. Okay, okay. I will ask you again this. I will ask you this question. So, what is good and what is bad attitude?
Well, simply means you go the opposite of doing right.
If you go the opposite of doing right, and what is that? That's a negative attitude.
Exactly.
And what is a positive attitude?
Positive attitude for me means you have to make use of what you have and maximize it. And at the same time, don't be afraid to commit mistakes and learn from your mistakes and explore new things. Don't try, but do it. That is a positive attitude.
So
When
that
you
means
put yourself first before for others.
okay. So is attitude a choice?
Yes,
So you can choose to be bad at this time, and you can choose to be good at this time.
exactly. Because each one, each person is accountable for his or her own decision. And we cannot make use of the reason that others push me to do something that is not right because we have our own choice in life. Don't blame others because they made that choice for you. Because at the end of the process, it is still the person who will make the decision for her or himself. And that
So
is
it
attitude.
means that your attitude is vested in you,
Yes.
and the choice is actually yours.
Yes. And
So
remember, for every choice that I make, there is a consequence. It could either be positive or negative. So who will benefit from that? who will suffer it. It's not others, it's also me, myself.
I'll give you an example. Say, right now, it's even COVID. So you are at home and somebody is actually celebrating a birthday, but you don't feel like celebrating it. So you just sulk and stay in your room while the rest of the family are partaking the cake or celebrating at the sala. So is that actually the choice of the person of just trying to be on his own?
Yes, because he's not forced to join the celebration. But take note of this: having the right attitude is being mindful of others beyond yourself. Why? Again, I go back from the heart.
From the heart? Because it is actually a common occurrence now. There are times it's not even pre-COVID. Now you are at home and somebody brings you food. Somebody you order food and everybody is excited, but you are right there watching Netflix. You don't want to be disturbed.
So the
So
question,
so uh, how do you regard that? Is that a good or a bad attitude?
again for me, still a bad attitude because showing that kind of action, especially to your loved ones and to your dear friends, it will affect the degree of joy more than the happiness that they will experience.
Right,
I
right.
believe deep in their heart, they want you to be with them because you're not others. They love you. So you also have to reciprocate
So
that love.
the question now is, how are you going to fix that? How are you going to, what are the things that you have to do if you feel that, we are talking about home first, home.
Mhm.
Because there are a lot of people, even with our loved ones, wherein, ay, pabayaan mo na. Let him do his way. Actually, that is his personality. That is actually, pangit ang ugali niyan. He has a bad attitude. So how can we fix that? Sorry, I'm
Yan ang
asking you questions, ha? Hard,
okay
hard.
lang.
Okay, okay lang.
Alam mo, Pipi Jesse, yan ang isang masamang nakaugalian. No? Hayaan mo na lang. Pabayaan mo na lang. Tagang
Mhm.
ganyan yan eh. Pero ako, naniniwala ako, kung talagang you are a true Christian in heart and in spirit, you will go out of your way. But you can only do so much. Remember, it takes two to tango. If the other person, after you exhausted all means in reaching out, in convincing, and trying to change his own mindset, then at least you did your best, isn't it?
No, no,
Rather than
I would like to ask you from within first. Say like this, I have this another situation. Just like, not not even in telenovelas, not even in telenovelas. Say you are cousins, you are neighbors, and you don't actually like that person, and here he comes bringing something. It's either you shun or shy away, or you are so aggressive that you really is trying to bully that person. So how are you going to fix that?
well, if you cannot really confront the person, you can ask someone. No, 'di ba? Sabi nga ni Christ, if you cannot settle an issue between you and the person, you can ask someone as a mediator, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, if the three of you were not able to resolve the issue that
Hmm.
concerns you and the other person, in spite of
Hmm.
the presence of a mediator, you can elevate that to a higher body. Until such time, you're able to correct and patch up the gap. But of course, it's easier said than done, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But for me, what matters most, personally, I reach out. I did everything what I can. But again, it takes two to tango. So I think it's up to him because hindi ko dadalhin yun eh. Yung sama ng loob na yun. So kung talaga ayaw niya, wala akong magagawa. Diba?
Pero from the person itself, what are the things that the person should start fixing so that he can have a better, a well accepted or a pleasing uh, personality and attitude to others? What should a person start doing?
I think for me muna, mag-start muna ng being humble, the virtue of
Yes.
humility. Right?
Yes.
Because if I'm able to recognize my limitations and I can also do certain things to an extent na hanggang dito lang yan, then yun eh. So kinakailangan wag kong i-boast na mas mahusay ako, mas
So
sikat
what you're telling us, there should be a time for reflection, a time
yes.
for some thinking, of some humbleness in you, trying to accept things as they are. This is
Yes,
something.
I call that introspection.
Yes, there should be one.
You have to look from within. Now, at the same time, you have to do a retrospection, right?
Yes.
So, not try, look back what had happened, saan nangyari yung buhol o yung gulo along the way, and you can start somewhere. Parang ano yan nagtatanggal ka ng buhol ng sinulid, hindi mo makita yung beginning and ending. But you have to discover.
You know what I'm thinking of? Part of that. You know what I'm thinking? Not even with a person. Just say an attitude to pansit or to another dish, or an attitude to a caller. A negative attitude to a caller. Parang you are in blue, I don't like that. Or an attitude to dogs. Parang
Yes.
I don't want to enter your house. You have a lot of dogs. Or an attitude to plants. Yeah, no, don't give me a plant. It will just die. I'm not a green thumb. So how will you fix that? Maybe I like that. There should be some reflection, an introspection first, and then that is the start of changing your mindset or changing
Yes.
your way of thinking. Because
So,
the question is, how are we going to help people to fix their bad attitude and turn it into good attitude?
well, other than the introspection and retrospection, I think importante yung next step yung circumspect. Look at the circumstances. No, look
Yes,
for certain commonality, not the
yes,
differences between you and the other person. And I
yes,
believe kahit na isang bagay yan, may commonality kayo. Ano yung commonality na yan? Una-una, pareho kayong tao. And bilang tao, pareho kayong may puso. So
right.
magkaibigan kayo, magkakilala kayo eh. So start there. Diba? Don't capitalize on the differences. Because if you
Right.
do that, you will become indifferent to one another.
I like that. I like that. Because actually, that is my next question. Now we are going to jump if you have that attitude for your office mates at work, most especially at this time that you are working remotely. So one is try to reflect and then put in some that the humility in it, and the other one is try to look into your commonalities and then introspect and second what are the things that is happening. Then you mentioned before that you try to look for a mediator if you cannot really do it. But if you ask me, it would be better if it really comes from me, if you start doing it on your own. Okay, what else, PP Orbit? I would like to really squeeze on you on this. Applies from introspection and then some reflection.
Retrospection, circumspect, and the last step, I would call it profiling, so that you
Yes,
are able to customize your approach, your strategy, and do it from the heart. You profile the person. Now
right.
look at where you can enter into his heart at different angles.
Yes, yes.
So that
Actually,
there is a pivot of change. not only to the person, but first and foremost sa akin. Because I cannot change the other person. So I have to change first myself.
Yes, yes.
Kasi
That is what
babaguhin mo
we're
na
doing.
yung perspective mo eh, di ba? Oh.
Fixing actually,
Tawag ko dyan, atake de amor. Atake de amor. No?
fixing actually is not fixing the situation, either the other person. It's actually fixing yourself. How you're going to change your mindset in making it into a positive emotion or a positive attitude. But you mentioned that you don't really have to, you don't really have to force yourself to like the person, but at least you have to change your attitude on that person.
You know why, PP Jesse? Because at the end of it, I'll just ask myself, where am I in the scheme of things? What kind of attitude have I shown to myself more than to anyone?
Actually, at the end of the day, you are hurting yourself if you cannot really fix it. You cannot really fix it. So, what are, okay, just in passing, what are the things that really, when you have that such a bad attitude, what are the things that are affected?
A lot. First and foremost, your well-being, your mind, your emotions, your physical, no, your outlook in life, the
Yeah,
way you relate to anyone,
yeah,
and probably it can also affect your spirituality, and that
yes.
is the most sensitive aspect of our life, the
I am.
spirituality.
I
But
like what you just mentioned. You know, sometimes I'm scared of people trying to blame other things, and the last thing that they do is to blame God.
yes, that's very dangerous.
Yeah, I'm scared of that.
But if you have a very strong spirituality, I
Yes,
think you will be able to withstand the other aspects, even if you are pushed to the wall. And that will make
I
you
love that. I love
stronger
that.
through and through.
I love that. I know there are a lot of people, not actually of COVID, but they they enter into what we call the ups and downs of life. And what we really need is the right or the proper attitude and how you're going to respond to the challenges of life. Diba?
Yes.
So so how how does it affect your 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 behavior, especially in the office?
Well, if you have a poor attitude, definitely others will look up to you as someone who is erratic,
Right.
no? Unwieldy, as someone who is not professional, someone whose character is highly questionable. You know, in life, money is nothing. Money is nothing. Why? Because at the end of our life on earth, we will not bring the money, the material things, the richness,
I
the
I
net
do
worth.
that in my
But the
webinars.
money is
Let me
nothing.
cut you. Let me cut you because you're Vincent. I have that in my webinars. We will go to that later on, but you continue. I have that. Let me cut you. It's inordinate attachment.
Exactly.
Uh,
Now, other than money, material things is nothing, you have also to take good care of your health, mental
right,
health,
right.
physical health, no, yung emotional health mo. Now, if you overlook in taking good care of the health of your well-being, all right, you only lose something, but that something will spell a big difference because later on you will suffer anything that you forgot to invest in your health. And take note of this third point that I'll tell you. If you lose your character, you lose everything. If you lose your character, you lose everything. And
I
it's not sufficient that you have competence. Because for me, character is still the most important thing rather than competence.
I love that. I love that. You know, Grace Decena is watching us. John
Hi, Grace.
Grace, be ready. I will also invite you as a special guest here. And Eric Del Castillo is also watching us. I
Hello,
had
Eric.
Eric time. So I like that. So aside from competence, which is attitude, skills, and knowledge, there is one thing also that we have to look into, which really has a connection with um, at- attitude, which is character. And in that character is actually your spirituality. Am I right,
Yes,
PP Otis?
yes, PP Jesse. I always mention this, especially in my inspirational sessions, in my seminars and webinars. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Meaning,
Yes.
for me, character is the pudding. Character is the pudding. The way you bake, the way you prepare everything in your life is dictated, triggered by the kind of attitude you have. So if you have a
Very
happy
good.
attitude, attitude to serve, attitude of a good steward, no matter how simple the dish you're preparing and doing in life, that spell a big difference. Remember, God does not look on how much we have, but on
Yes.
how much we care for everyone more than yourself. In Latin, there's a saying, Nemo dat quod non habet. We cannot give what we don't have. So, if we don't have love in our heart, how can you
Mhm.
give love to others? And the second commandment of Christ, wherein he summed up the 10 commandments into two commandments. First one, love God above anyone, all things in this world. And the second commandment, love others as yourself. Again, that is heart. And there are two most important letters in heart. This is my advocacy when I was the 2015 PMAP president. What are those two important letters in heart? The H and the R. It means human relationship. Because if you
Yes.
remove and take it for granted, those two important letters in the heart, H and R, what word will be left? It,
Oh.
meaning it's self-centered. It's more of me rather than others. That's why we are in the profession of HR.
Mhm.
We answered, respond to a call, and that is to serve others more than ourselves. We
Wow.
take good care of others. That's why we are in human relationship because of our heart for people. We don't deal with products. We deal with people as people like you and me who have a heart. Nemo dat quod non habet.
Very nice. Well said. Sabi ko na, mas maganda when it is actually extemporaneous. Okay. PP, but before we have the second break, well, let me ask you this. I also use this in my webinars. What you just told us is that it should come from you, and that is what you call your emotional contagion. As HR, how are we going to be influencers? Influence our good attitude so that the people around us, our bosses, and our subordinates will also be infected by positive and good attitude. How can we do the positive emotional contagion? Hindi COVID contagion, ha? Emotion,
Mm.
attitude contagion. How can we? Before we go to the break, please answer quickly kung paano. How can HR do that?
Very simple. You don't have to say anything. Just walk inside the room and just be yourself and spread the air of love to each and everyone, regardless of their status in life, their position in life, no? Without saying anything, actions speak louder than words.
I love
And you have to be consistent. And easily people will be inspired and motivated because they feel it triggered by your positive attitude. The way you look at them, not as others, but you look at them as you, as you.
Ang galing. Okay, let's have the second break and then we'll have a couple minutes before time runs so fast before we do our parting messages. Can we have the second break, Navin? We are now in the last portion of this of today's episode, and it is about job fair. First, FARE. So, how do we fare with our attitude at work? We just mentioned how do you influence other people to also be practicing or adapting good attitude. Now we are now on the job fair, FAIR. There are still vacant positions to be filled up at Wills Design and Associates, our sponsor. Project managers, form work managers, genetic engineers. Can we have the next slide, please? Pollution control officers, heavy equipment manager. They even are looking for HR supervisors, talent acquisition supervisor, training supervisor, and you can send your application through the email recruitment at w at willsdesigninc.com, WDAINC.com, or you can just proceed at their office in Quezon City. Puzzleback is still looking for an HR officer, a graphic artist, media buyers, and also you can send your application or resume to careers at puzzlebacks-inc.com. I am still waiting for the poster from PMAP for their national it's PMAP, its annual conference that will be on October 21 to 23, and for PSTD, which is the uh, national convention, which will be on November uh, 15 and 16. And of course, the POPs summit will be on October 15 and 16. So I have three events, actually four. There is the Philippine Association of Employer Associations and Associations Executive. I will try to have the digi posters and post it here so that you can join us. So with POPs, PMAP, PSTD, and PCAAE. So let's have past President Obet Policarpio back. Okay.
Hello,
So,
people Jesse.
yes, yes. Before we have the time really runs so fast, and before we do our parting messages, I have I have an important question with you as regards yung. So you just told us that attitude should really come from the heart. And then he told us how we can go, how can we influence other, but by just being us. Okay, so um, how can we really say that we have good or bad attitude? By what I mean is, all of us would like to be real, would like to be authentic. And there are times, allow me to use the dialect, mataray. You have some preferences, which is sometimes construed as a negative attitude. How can you say that even if you express that as yourself, including me, there are times that I declare that I am authentic, but it is actually taken as something that is negative. What are your thoughts on this? Pipi
I
Albert?
believe that each one must be able to adapt, adjust to the situation.
Yeah.
Again, we have to be mindful, thinking of others more than myself. So
Yes.
yung
And that
pagiging
is what you call,
mataray,
yes, yes.
kailangan itabi-tabi na natin yan because it will not do good at all. Remember, God created us equally. God gives His love to us equally. So kung ang Diyos nagbigay ng ganyan, tayo pa kaya bilang nilikha lamang, kailangan magbigay din tayo ng kaukulang tamang pagmamahal sa kapwa natin. Otherwise, where is our heart in the
Yes.
scheme of things? Diba?
Yes. Yes. And that's what you call civility. Yung para bang you are invited to a party, or you happen to pass by a blighted or the squatters area, and then you really show the real you, and you try nang lait ka, and you try to have put on faces, diba? And it shows a bad attitude on the situation. I love that. Okay, second, last question before you give your parting message. I know I have known you for the longest time, since the time that we were actually younger years,
Yeah.
and then we were together even at 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to hoard the participants of a conference, of PMAP conference to Baguio. I can still
Yeah.
remember that, because I remember that. I really can still remember. Then I know your attitude, be it up or be it down, even now. How to be you? How can we be Obet Policarpio?
Unang-una, PPJC, hindi pa pwedeng maging ikaw ako at maging ako
Course,
ikaw.
of course, of course. Pero
No?
how can we
Hindi
do?
pa
How
pwede.
can how can we emulate?
Kasi,
How can we?
kasi mas pogi ako sa'yo tsaka mas bata ako sa'yo.
Then can you tell us what is your formula? What are the things that you do? Na yung talagang you really are so elegant. You are so, but there is a community. There is wala, hindi ka nangangarag. Can you tell us? Can you tell us?
Mas simple lang yan eh. One of the philosophy that I embrace in my life is this one. What makes my life joyful and meaningful is always to have a grateful heart. Is always to have a grateful heart. Kaya I
Okay.
maintain this joyfulness and this bubbly in me. At sabi nga, you don't look like 60 years old, kamukha ni Pipi Jessie. Joke.
May tanong ako, let me see, kasi nakalimutan mo. Was your formation in the seminary has to do with who you are?
Not exactly. I think I owe it to my parents.
I
Right?
love it. I like that.
I
I
owe it
like
to
that.
my parents. They really inspired me, molded me, and so forth and so on. Because if I was not raised properly and well by my parents, hindi ako nakapasok ng seminaryo. Ang hirap kaya pumasok ng seminaryo.
I know.
Imagine, after grade 6 elementary, series of interviews and examinations. So yung final interview, together with your parents, doon maraming bumabagsak. And I
I
entered the seminary. I stayed there for 8 years at the Congregation of the Mission or St. Vincent de Paul
I
Seminary at Tandansora Avenue all the way to Angono, Rizal. So
wonderful.
yun. And then second, talagang malaki ang naitulong ng seminary formation. Imagine mo 8 years,
Ah,
but I still have to continue on. No? That's why after my regency for 2 years, and mind you, it's not my wife who was the reason. I met my wife after 2 years, and that was the third sign I prayed to God. No, before I took the regency, may deal ako kay Lord. Lord, I pray for 3 signs. If you don't grant these 3 signs, I will go back. Before I prayed that before I took the regency, and God granted the signs, but I waited patiently. Waited patiently. Yun
wow.
yun. So again, what makes life joyful and meaningful is to have a grateful heart. And attitude is a product of personal belief. So what kind of attitude do I have? Is it positive or negative? And what I think is what I become. And
Wow.
I have to continuously adapt myself to the situation, to the current times. Na
Wow.
ugma sa panahon. Ugma sa panahon. Yun
Time
lang.
flies so fast. Can you give us your parting message? There are a lot of friends are watching us. I can get nandyan si Arian, nandyan si Grace, si June, Mama Ril, nandyan maraming nakikinig sa atin. So can you
Ay
guys,
nako, maraming salamat sa mga kaibigan kong nagmamahal. At talagang nagulat ako. Nandiyan din si Fe Marie, yung ating BFF. So
yeah,
mga
nandyan.
kaibigan ko na mahal ko sa San Miguel Group of Companies where I'm working, and I will really miss you guys. In the San Miguel Group, I will really miss you. You know. Now, parting words. But before I give my parting words, again, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my love to all my co-practitioners in PMAP, in People Management Association of the Philippines, at Philippine Society for Training and Development, at our parish, Sacred Heart of Jesus Parish here in Malabon City, and to the other communities and, well, in the Vincentian Brothers community where I'm also active. So this is my parting message to everyone. On a personal note, I'm adjusting my cell of life not against the unexpected and erratic winds of challenges, but discerning on the signs of the time as gateway to new and better opportunities. I have to unlearn, relearn, and learn more as I yearn for the vast and endless sea of knowledge and skills. So I will bring out precious treasures beyond my comfort zone for the greater glory of God. I'm continuously exploring a better path in the vastness and depth of the ocean of life, together with God as my captain. My faith and trust in Him are the compass and rudder of my lifeboat. I have to sail on and move on. I believe because of my steadfastness in faith and trust in God, I will rebound and rise. So, like you, my dear friends, listening and watching the HR hotline with Jesse right now, always believe that you will also rebound and rise. Bounce forward in transcending borders. Bounce means believe that God is greater and mightier than anyone. Always have that optimism in you. Unleash your power, your God given talents. Nurture yourself first and foremost spiritually, and the rest will follow. Have that commitment to yourself. more than the commitment to others. Nemo dat quod non habet. And lastly, have that edification of your character more than your competence, more than your richness in life, in transcending borders. And those borders are three types. Forget your self imposed borders, forget the borders set on you by others. And the most dangerous of all, you believe the borders set on you as well as your self-imposed borders. Have faith. Mapagpalang hapon, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ito po si Obet Policarpio. Mahal na mahal ko po kayo. At sana'y magkita ho tayo sa tamang panahon. Pipi Jesse?
Thank you, thank you. Amen, amen. I usually have a conclusion, but allow me not to do it at this time. Powerful words coming from PP Obet. Powerful message. There will be a recording. Watch it again and share it. You are really my idol. You are really my mentor. Amen. This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo. Just marvelous po. Marvin, just Marvin.